Do not buy a home without watching this entire video. What we have to tell you will surprise you.
Let's get started. I'm Andy Haven.
And I'm Holly Haven. Welcome back to the Haven Home Team channel, your North Texas no-filter real estate team. We don't only want you to move to Texas, we want to help you become a Texan. So today we have some tips about buying a home today, or do we wait until later in 2023? What do you think, Andy?
I don't know. I think buy now.
Buy now. Guys, there's several reasons for this. If we thought the market was actually going to be a little bit better for buyers in the summer, we are the first people to let you know about that. But that is not the case. We actually have a lot of data to back up that right now in Q1 of 2023 might be the absolute best buyer's market that we're going to see for the next several years. And that's saying a lot compared to the last couple of years. We know we've been in a very, very powerful seller's market. We've seen a lot of homes going 50 to 100,000 over list price, right? That finally settled down at the end of 2022. So now we're in 2023. People are a little bit nervous. We have a lot of conversations with buyers that are they nervous about interest rates?
Yeah, definitely nervous about interest rates. I think that's the one thing holding a lot of buyers back right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So we get a lot of things from the media that's telling us, prices are going to drop. We're in a bubble. Things are going to crash. We're going to wait until the home prices are better. Well, we have a lot of reasons why that's not going to happen. We do not expect home prices in North Texas to crash at all. I'm going to give you guys a quick little explanation of what we witnessed over the last couple of years. What we saw were buyers willing to pay over the appraised value. That did artificially increase the values of many of our homes, of most of our market, really. And we're seeing that settle down. So we're not seeing price decreases. We're not seeing big drops in value. What we're seeing is the inability or lack of willingness for buyers to come in and pay a big chunk over value. So we're back to really paying, appraised value for properties.
Yeah, for sure. I think this is the time when first-time home buyers are finally going to have a chance to enter the market. Interest rates, although they're not at the lowest point they've ever been, right? We saw that for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
It's a very average interest rate. It's a normal interest rate, and you can always refinance. You can refinance as many times as you want, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it does, guys, it does cost you to refinance. But when you're comparing the cost of a refinance versus the long-term payments on that additional interest, you're much better off refinancing when interest goes down. And for most lenders, they'll usually tell you if it drops by like 0.5%, and obviously if it drops by 1 full percentage point, then you're going to want to refinance. You're going to save a significant amount of money. So interest rates right now are probably the biggest topic of conversation because they are higher than they have been for the last several years. However, we were right around 5 and 5% pre-pandemic.
Yeah, for sure. I had a post the other day on Facebook and someone mentioned that their first house was 15%.
Yeah, and that's, that person's a little bit older, right? They're not a first-time home buyer today, but I can say my first home in 1999, gosh, I'm aging myself. We were over 8%. I think we had 2 loans. We do a first and a second mortgage. That was really common pre-2008. Guys, there's a reason for that housing and financial crash in 2008. But we had 2 loans. It was 7.5% and 8.5%, I think. And, didn't slow us down at all. We were 22 years old, 21 years old buying our first home. So what we're seeing that's different today is the value of homes is greater. But we do have a lot of incomes that have increased, for the same similar jobs over that same time frame. And right now, interest rates are a heck of a lot better than they were in 1999, and they are more historically average. So we want to dive in a little bit to that interest rate discussion because we do expect them to stay where they are during this first quarter. And that's kind of the bad news of why this is a great time to buy is because we're seeing interest rates closer to that 6%. I've seen them as high as 6.25 or even 6.5. You helped a buyer today, right? You were chatting with, and what is his kind of situation? What does his interest rate look like?
So I don't know his exact interest rate. It's around 5.5, maybe up to 6. I know he said, I believe it was 5.8, if I'm going to be completely honest. He's doing a 15-year mortgage, trying to get that house paid off as soon as possible, or condo. He is a first-time home buyer as well, so something to keep in in mind. He's been looking for like 6 months or so, and he's now ready to buy. So perfect time to buy for him. And going back to the interest rates, you can always refinance after 6 months. You do have to wait 6 months to refinance. So that's something to take into consideration.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's what we're expecting with those interest rates. Right now, you're going to get in with a slightly higher interest rate than you probably want. But what that means is you're actually cutting back on the amount of competition. Because we have so many buyers finally able to get into the market after the last 2 years, because you don't have to come to the table with $50,000 or $100,000 of extra cash to pay over value, we're able to get into that home. We're able to get into, even as low as 3 or 5% down, depending on your loan structure. And you might have a slightly higher interest rate right this minute. However, we very much expect those interest rates to come down in the second quarter. So that brings us into June and July. And what's going to happen when interest rates come down and the mass media starts telling people that the interest rates are settling down a little bit?
People are probably going to freak out a little bit.
We're going to have more people in the market, right?
Yeah.
So people that have been waiting, saying it's not a good time, interest rates are too high, they're going to start hearing that those interest rates, they're dropping. We already know that we have an expectation of those interest rates coming down due to things like the CPI index and inflation and what generally happens historically. Now, this is assuming that the Fed does the things that they have historically done when we see the markets that we're seeing today. So we are very much anticipating that those interest rates are going to come down in Q2, and it's going to put everybody in a better position to buy, which means you're going to have more competition. So we want to cut the competition out. We want you guys to get in early, take advantage of less competition, get the home you want, refinance it in 6 months when those interest rates are lower.
Yeah, and currently we are in a more stable buyer's market right now. So with that being said, all that's coming is a seller's market, right?
Yeah, and really, this is a little bit like kind of going down the rabbit hole or giving you some minutia, but what we call a seller's market is when we have 6 months of inventory, meaning if a house listed today and did not sell for 6 months, that would be considered a really stable market. So a 6 month balanced market is what we call, 6 months is what we call a balanced market. So anything under 6 months, we call a seller's market. In North Texas, we are anywhere from about 2.5 to 3 months of supply right now.
Yeah.
Last time we checked.
Yeah, for sure.
And we're looking at a bigger picture, right? Not one particular city. Guys, every time you get into one particular city, you're going to have different conversations once we start narrowing down into neighborhoods and price points and all those things. But we know that we are still technically in a seller's market. However, compared to what we've done for the last 2 years, this is a much more stable market for buyers. It is a much friendlier market for buyers. And we can definitely help you find a home now without all of the competition.
Yeah, for sure. And even though it is smaller inventory right now, right? We do have a lot less inventory than we used to have. The prices have decreased a little bit. So it is a little bit easier for first-time home buyers to get in. I recently saw in Celina, there's 3 houses posted under $400,000.
Yeah.
That's shocking. I haven't seen anything under $500,000 in months.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
It is definitely a great time to get in.
Yeah. And another reason we're starting to see this, we saw people holding on to properties and using them as rental properties.
Yep.
So even though that value may seem like, oh gosh, those prices really dropped, that house would have been $500,000 a year ago. That's not necessarily the case. Somebody might have been willing to pay $500,000 for that house a year ago. The value of that house was not likely ever $500,000. So we did not lose $100,000 in value. We lost the willing and able buyer that was wanting to pay over because they had to move in.
Yeah, for sure. And then I do think we are going to see an increase of rental properties in the area. Universal is coming. We have all of the hotels and hospitality and restaurants and stuff.
PGA, everything. I mean, Frisco from Celina Prosper is a 15-minute drive.
Yeah, for sure. So if you're looking into buying a rental property, now is a great time. Like I said, there's houses under $400,000. Great time to make that a rental property.
Absolutely. All right. So we talked about kind of a little bit lower inventory right now, less buyers in the market, right? So we still have really good ability for buyers to go in and make strong offers, potentially pay that slightly higher interest rate and know that their plan is to refinance. That's a pretty good plan. So what are we thinking is really going to happen with house prices between right now and summer? What's going to happen if we have less people in the market today and more people coming to the market in June and July if those interest rates do start to come down?
Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of demand in our area.
Yeah.
There's probably, we don't know, is there going to be more supply, less supply? That's kind of something that's up in the air right now too.
Supply is really tough in our market. We have generally low inventory for the number of people looking to move to North Texas. Depending on what part of North Texas you're moving to, It's, highly rated schools, close commutes, all these things that happen where people have the ability to work from home now, trying to get closer to family. Maybe they're moving across country and people are trying to get to a certain area. That is still happening every single day. So even though we say, hey, things have slowed down, we're not in all the competition, we still have people moving to North Texas every single day. Our builders are starting to get some more inventory because they've had an opportunity to breathe and catch up. Last 2 years was so crazy. So we're starting to see a little more inventory, a little bit better pricing, lower competition today than we expect to see in the summer months. So that's really the reason that I think we're looking at it saying now is your moment. Buyers, do not miss this window of getting in right now and locking down the house that you love.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even if it's not the house of your dreams, if it's something you can fix up, gain some equity in that home, our area is going to grow in equity for the next 10, 20, 50 years. Absolutely. There's no telling. So now is the time. Go back to that house that's $399,000. Put a couple $100,000. That would be an expensive house. Put a couple thousand dollars into it.
That's right.
Look at the equity growth. Turn it into a rental property. There's so many options.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do expect to see better times now than we see in June. Lower competition, better interest rates coming our way. If you have any questions at all about buying in this market, should I wait till later? Every person's individual situation is just that, individual. So we would love to answer your questions, let you know kind of what it might look like for you, put you in touch with some amazing lenders that can help answer your questions. Guys, don't be scared to hear the word no, because no just means not right now. If you think, I really wish I could buy, but I'm not sure, let's find out, because knowing what your situation is, knowing what your credit score is, knowing what your debt to income is, all of those things just set you up on a path to success, to really be able to buy in the future if today's not your day. But we can start that conversation. There's a link below. You can schedule a call with us, get on our calendar, as we're very no pressure and no filter. So we're going to tell you like it is.
Yeah, for sure. Y'all have a great rest of your day. And if y'all will go ahead and subscribe, like she said, comment down below if you have any questions for us. We'll see you in the next video.